Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. Manchester United 4, Melbourne victory 1 in what was a far better pre-season game than I was expecting, and I'll tell you for why. But first of all, a few things I want to talk to you about. I genuinely think Iqbal and Bailly should be starting in the first team 11 against Crystal Palace on Tuesday. If they don't, I don't really understand what we're trying to build at Manchester United, because surely reward is what it's all about. Surely it's all about risk and reward. And Eric Bailly, we wouldn't have conceded that first goal if Eric Bailly had been on the pitch, because it's about pace. But it's the second game in a row where Eric Bailly's had a massive part to play in a goal by driving forward. As for Iqbal, when you're good enough, you're old enough. And yeah, look, he's probably going to go on loan, but that midfield too of Savage and Iqbal's no worse than McTominay and Fred was in the first half. So, look, I don't know. I'm getting a bit of a sense with United that they've made their mind up about certain players and that Eric Bailly's already on the list to be sold, so why bother being part of the plans for the first team? But it does seem a little bit wrong to me, because players are playing well in the second half, and I think, you know, if Ten Hag is the manager I believe he is, then really Eric Bailly should have started that game from his performance against Liverpool anyway. So let's see what happens with that. Juiced, welcome to the Members Club. But before I talk about the game, I just want to whack this up on the screen, because we will talk on this a little bit later on the show today. Man United are prepared to play the long game on Frenkie de Jong, even if he hasn't joined when the league season starts. Lisandro Martinez won't join the squad for the end of the tour. And I'll leave that on the screen for people to read and digest, of course. Sav ball better than McFred, says to Moyes. And hi Mark, did you notice Rashford actually passing instead of mindless skills, and Iqbal looks a real composed player, says Kevin. I did. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. But just to go, this is the big takeaway for me, transfers. We can do as many pre-season games as we like, but I don't feel like I'm learning a hell of a lot, other than the fact that Ten Hag's a good manager who likes high possession and lots of shots with high passing accuracy and a high line. And I knew all that anyway. I feel that he's not working with the tools he needs. We're not progressing as quick as we should do because the board haven't provided him with the players. I look at that team, we need 5 players. We need a centre-back, we need 2 midfielders, we need a right winger, probably need another full-back at right-back as well. But what team's he going to pick against Palace? It's going to be McTominay and Fred. What team's he going to pick against Villa? It's going to be McTominay and Fred and Maguire and Lindelof if Varane's out again. I just feel that we're not developing on this tour how we should have done. And it's not Ten Hag's fault, and it's not your fault, and it's not my fault for saying what some people will say is a negative, but is actually a very clear positive. I look at what Spurs are doing with Conte and other clubs. They've got their signings. They're 3 weeks out from the start of the season, and they're integrating them into the team. I look at United. Yeah, we've bought Martinez. He's not going to be on the tour, so he can't be integrated until a week or two before the season starts. De Jong, we're even thinking about playing the first game of the season without him. Can we afford to drop 3 points? It's a risk. Preparation, again, ain't as good as it needs to be. I remember talking in the middle of May about Ten Hag having all the players he wanted to go on tour with, and we didn't do that. And now we're talking about this player's so good that we're prepared to risk the first game of the season not having him, which is exactly what we did with Varane and Sancho. We weren't ready for them at the start of the season. And I know we won the first game of the season against Leeds, but did we end up having a good season? Preparation is so important, and I just feel that the negotiation side of this summer transfer window has been a shambles, and we also don't know what's going on with Ronaldo either, do we? But look, back on the game, because I'll talk about that in a moment. Back to the game. What did we learn from that game? Was it a useful exercise? I think exercise is the key word. It's always worthwhile playing pre-season games because it's about fitness. I want to give a big shout out to Melbourne victory. You can do the player ratings, by the way. Links in the description. On my left there, we'll go through them, mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average. There's a few to go through, obviously, because we played 2 different sides. But Melbourne didn't play 2 sides. Now, I was doing the watch-along and people were saying they don't have the squad to do that. So they played a lot of their players from the first half way into the second half, which is a fair reflection on the team that played in the second half, because they're playing against the same players. So they can't be like, oh, we're playing a weakened team. So that was interesting. And I think that, look, we ridiculously dominated possession. I think it was 75%. We had way more shots than them. I think we played way more passes than them. So we ticked everything that we didn't tick against Liverpool. Liverpool had more possession, more passes. We did what Ten Hag does with Ajax today. We dominated possession. We had a good passing accuracy. We created a lot of chances. And we played a lot of passes. So that's a big tick in the box. We won the game 4-1. But Melbourne did give us a game. It was competitive. They weren't a pushover. We did have to work hard. And that's a big applause to them. They were better than I thought they were going to be. I didn't know how good they were going to be. I'm ignorant to Australian football. But they were decent. They were decent, and what they did do, and I think the thing I'll applaud Melbourne for the most is they scored that goal. And that goal really opens up the world's eyes, if they needed it open, to the fact that we have got an issue at centre-back with those two centre-backs. We are a new United. We are going to play high possession. I do see people like Rashford and Bruno, and I give them a thumbs up because they're not playing stupid Hollywood passes. They're not shooting from 40 yards. They're actually keeping the ball and rotating the ball, and that's obviously coming from the training ground. I thought our possession was good. The way that we kept the ball was good and probed, and that was good, and hopefully it'll get better with better players coming in. But as part of being able to do that, the press is part of that. The high line is part of that. And when you play Lindelof and Maguire, and people will have said this last year, and we've said it over the summer as well, when you play Lindelof and Maguire, you're always going to concede goals like we did. There's nothing they can do about it. You can dislike them as players, you can like them as players. There's nothing they can do about a ball in the flank where the player down the flank's quicker than you, and a simple cross to a striker who's quicker than you. It's simplistic, it was a good goal, and there was nothing Maguire and Lindelof can do about it because they're not quick enough. And if Melbourne Victory can do that, how many times is that going to happen next year against Premier League opposition? We can't play Maguire and Lindelof and play like that. Can you play Lindelof and Varane? I don't think they would have scored because Varane would have been quick enough to stop the striker. Bay would have been quick enough to stop the striker. But what I'm saying, look, maybe there's a future for Maguire, maybe there's a future for Lindelof, but there's not a future for those two. You can call it modern centre-backs, you can call it what you like, but you cannot play Maguire and Lindelof in that system. They will get slaughtered for pace. I think you've got to have two quick centre-backs. I think it's got to be Martinez and Varane or Martinez and Bay, but it's at least got to be one of those. You cannot play Lindelof and Maguire, and I think that hopefully is the big eye-opener to something that Erik ten Hag would have already been aware of anyway, which is why I would have played Bailly. We should try to start with second-half midfield instead of Fred and McTominay next game, says Gergo. I don't think that's going to happen. I really want James Garner to get back. We're going to go through the player ratings in a minute, but I think that there is still a lot of room for improvement. Of course there is. But I think the big thing that still stands out to me, and it stands out like a sore thumb, and I said it at the kickoff, you look at that game, you look at that starting lineup, you look at Heaton, Delot, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw, McTominay, Fred, Bruno, Elanga, Sancho, and Martial. You look at that team, and what do you think if I don't tell you Erik ten Hag's the manager and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's the manager? You go, what the hell's going on at this football club? Why are we starting a season with those same players? And a lot of that's down to the coach, because you know what you're going to get with Solskjaer and those players. But it does hammer home the fact that that team under Solskjaer would give you nightmares at the start of another season. You'd be like, they're not good enough. Why are we using them? They're not good enough. I don't care about whether they've had a holiday or not. I don't care about what they've put out there on interviews. They're not good enough. The only reason we're not saying that is because Ten Hag's the manager and we've got so much hope on him. But it's still true. That team really, I don't think, is good enough. He needs the signings. I don't think Pep Guardiola or Klopp could get that team to do anything special. So why does anyone think Ten Hag can? I think he's doing the best with what he's got at the moment, but he needs these signings. And we are starting to get very close to the start of the season. And I don't think it's a good idea to go into a new season with McFred in the midfield. I think he's got to get him a midfielder. And I do think he needs two. Zidane Iqbal, ball control and drilling is so much better than McTominay and Fred. Find of the season, says Abhishek. And Danny, thank you for becoming a member, and Martin as well. Bay's not good enough. He makes more mistakes than any centre-back I've ever seen. Savage is incredible. Iqbal looks very good. I want to see De Jong and Savage together, and Martial looks sharp, says Tom. You know what, Tom? I appreciate the comment. I really do. But I think it's somewhat flawed, because you're saying that Eric Bay is not good enough because he makes mistakes, but then you're telling us that we should be playing Charlie Savage in a midfield with De Jong when the season starts. So you're going to chuck in a youngster that's never played a Premier League game into the Premier League, and then when he makes a mistake, what are you going to say? Oh, just keep him in the team. Like, you've got to understand how to use young players. And I don't overhype these young players because they don't need that. They need to be grounded. They need to look at the mistakes of other young players, injuries, behaviour off the pitch. Or, you know, we've got a young player who's on police bail at the moment as well, who was going to be a superstar. So there's all sorts of pitfalls that you need to just keep these young players grounded. And Also, I think the most important thing is Iqbal ready to play in the first team for United? I don't know. Probably not. Same for Charlie Savage. Do they deserve to be playing? Does Iqbal deserve to start ahead of McTominay next Tuesday? Probably yes, he does. And that's the first step. We've got to take little steps with these young players. And the next step may be a loan. But what we do need to do 100%, whether it's Iqbal, Charlie Savage, Charlie McNeil, Garnacho or whoever, we need to have a stable first team where the senior pros are playing well and can nurture these young players. Because at the moment, we'd be throwing Iqbal in and going, do your magic. Like he'd be the star of the team, almost. And we need to provide an atmosphere for these young players that they can come in and play with freedom and know that if they make a mistake, they've got somebody next to them that's going to cover that mistake for them and lift their head up. And at the moment, have we got that scenario? It might be better for the likes of Savage and Iqbal to go off on loan to the Championship like Garner did for a year this year. And I think that's the logical thing to do. But I've been very impressed with both of them. And, you know, Charlie Savage isn't in the scene because his dad's Robbie Savage, if anyone thinks that. And Iqbal isn't getting his chance because we haven't bought a midfielder. He deserves his chance. So they're both doing really well. And I tweeted it out and I'll stand by it. It shouldn't go unnoticed that we're playing the same Melbourne Victory team in the second half as the first half. And I felt that Charlie Savage and Iqbal had more control of the midfield than McTominay and Fred did and played better passes, or at least as good, which tells you a lot. It shows you about the potential of those two players, or it also tells you how a couple of young players who've got no experience can almost play as well as a midfield that we've been playing for the last 2 years. Zidane deserves a place in the bench at least, but our midfield is deeply in trouble, says Brian. Thank you very much. Maguire starting at right centre-back tells me Martinez will jump right in when he gets here. 100%, Andrew, yes. 100%. Stephen, I think Bailly has had the misfortune of playing for managers who did not leverage his best abilities. I think his best chances with Erik ten Hag, says Stephen. And hi Mark, do you think De Jong and Tielemans would be a good midfield pair with Bruno leading the midfield, says Contra? I think it'd be better than what we've got. Tyson, thank you for the super sticker. Just to give a bit of clarity on Eric Bailly, I believe you cannot criticise Erik ten Hag on Eric Bailly because I believe what's happened is Eric Bailly came over in the middle of May after leaving Ajax and a number of players were put on the transfer list based on a conversation where Ten Hag hadn't even trained them. Wan-Bissaka, Brandon Williams, Eric Bailly and a couple of others. And I think Erik ten Hag took the word of people like Darren Fletcher and John Murtagh who said they've been here for years, they've not got into the first team, and really they're players that we're looking to sell. And I think Ten Hag has gone, okay, whether he's changed his mind on this tour, Erik ten Hag can always change his mind. But I think Eric Bailly's on the list. I think he's on the transfer list. Otherwise, there would be no reason not to have started him instead of Lindelof or Maguire in the first half because his performance against Liverpool justified starting with the first team, and he didn't get it. And unfortunately, this is why Eric Bailly needs to leave United, because he can put in man-of-the-match performances, and I've seen him do it at Chelsea, away, I've seen him do it in loads of games, and then the next game he gets dropped because Maguire's back or Lindelof's back. And the same thing's happening. He plays well against Liverpool in pre-season, we play the next game, he's not in the first team, he's in the second half team. And it's not fair, it's not right, but that's Eric Bailly. He just doesn't get the opportunity he deserves, and he's massively frustrated about it. You know, he's massively frustrated about it. He was one of the ones who was frustrated back in January that Maguire was like a teacher's pet and getting picked all the time. So he is frustrated about it. He's got a right to be, but I think his career probably is going to be better off elsewhere because I just don't think he's going to get the chance at United. Too young is such a poor excuse, says Sean. If they're good enough, they're good enough. I don't think this team gets top four, so what's the difference in playing Iqbal than Fred, says Sean. I didn't say that. I didn't say that though, Sean, did I? What I said is, I've watched football for many years and I don't think it's fair to throw in a young player into a team as destabilised as United's team. A young player, and I've seen Beckham, Neville, Scholes, I've seen all these young players come through and they've come into teams where they've got senior pros who can play with a blindfold and know how to lead a team. Have we got a good enough stabilised first team to bring youth players in and let them thrive at the moment? I don't know. It might be better for him to go on loan. Tyson, welcome to the Members Club. Hi Mark, is Nightmare in Australia here? Me and my partner are about to get jiggy. Okay, says Carl. Bailly with Varane or Martinez won't make as many mistakes when he's in his flow state and confidence, says Joseph. I don't pick the team, mate. I think Eric Bays deserved the running the team for many years over what we've got, but I don't think it's going to happen. Some people are saying Donny played badly. Some people are saying Donny played well. I think the second game in a row... Look, we'll do it on the player ratings. Make sure you smash a like on the video and please do subscribe, everybody. I'm just going to do the player ratings and we'll come to Donny and I can basically talk about individual players based on that. And then we'll talk about that little bit of transfer news that we've got as well. So let me just get this going up here. Heaton's our first one, isn't he? So let's see. I mean, he had nothing to do, really. I'd give him a 6. The goal... I don't know whether I don't know whether De Gea would have saved it or not, but I'll give him an average 6. I actually thought that Delot did reasonably well. I'd probably give him a 6.5. Well done, you've done that. I always go lower because I can't do 0.5s. Lindelof, I'll probably give him a 6, 5.5 from you. Look, he's definitely at fault for the goal. Apart from that, his game was okay. But lack of pace is a concern in a high line, so I'd give him an average. I don't really want to give low scores on pre-season. It's not, the season hasn't kicked off yet. But Maguire, I'll give him a 6 as well, 4.2 from you. I don't agree with that. I don't know why Maguire's getting 4.2 and Lindelof's getting 5.5. I think that is, I don't want to coin a phrase of an agenda, but Lindelof's just as fault as Maguire is. Also with Maguire and Lindelof, I don't know whether people noticed this, they're very slow in the pass. They're both, and I think this is a legacy of Solskjaer, who definitely told them to, when you've got the ball, survey your options and then play the pass. You see it with McTominay's little bunny hop. You see it all the time with Luke Shaw. We're still not moving the pass quick enough. And I think that is something that we need to be better at, and the centre-backs need to be better at. I don't think we move the ball quick enough. And I still think Maguire and Lindelof are still looking for these air balls out to the fullback because they're good at them, and an air ball is a slow ball. So yeah, I think they can improve on their passing, but they were both at fault for the goal, and as a pairing they're never going to work in a they're too slow. There's nothing they can do. They can go and run as quick as they like, they're never going to get any quicker. You've got to have more pace in the back line when you can't play Maguire and Lindelof in the future. But I wouldn't give him a lower score than Lindelof. I personally would give them a 6 average. Luke Shaw, yeah, 6 for me. I mean, I don't know why again, look, I've noticed this with Luke Shaw. I'm getting to the point where I'm just not going to take any notice of the score for Luke Shaw because it's so agenda driven. Like, what did he do wrong in that game? He wasn't at fault for the goal. He had no relationship with Elanga. Delot at least had a good relationship with Sancho. I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think he was brilliant, but I don't think he did anything wrong. But, some people just... I suppose it's the Malacia thing, maybe. Fred, 6 for me. I thought Fred did some good things. I like the way that Fred came and took the ball off the back four. But he was shooting from stupid angles. His passing was a bit wayward. So just an average 6 for me from Fred. There's quite a lot of average 6s actually, isn't there? I suppose we didn't play that well. McTominay, I'd actually give him a 6.5. I'd give him a higher score than Fred because he did get 3 shots off. And he was obviously told not to take the ball off the back four, and he played more advanced. And I suppose if I'm probably over-egging the pudding a bit, but McTominay always gets a bad score and tends to have a bad game. But I've always said about McTominay that if there's anywhere I think he's decent, it's around the opposition's box. And he got around the opposition's box and he had 3 shots. And I know the goal was lucky, but he was a little bit unlucky on another chance that he had. So, look, if there's to be a future for McTominay, I think it's got to be more advanced. And he did play more advanced and he didn't hide because he didn't try and get the ball off the back four. So it was better from McTominay without being earth-breaking, if that makes any sense. I also think that Bruno deserves a 6.5. He was better. Simplified his game. You can see that he's not hitting the Hollywood ball all the time. He's not shooting all the time. More measured, more possession based, and he's obviously taken on board the feedback from Ten Hag. So yeah, I would give him a 6. Again, I was very, very impressed with Jadon Sancho. Didn't get the ball enough, but I thought I'd give him a 7. I thought he was on the ball, looked so much better. I think the issue that Sancho had last year is he was playing in a team that was about counter-attacking and moments, and it doesn't really... Sancho's not blisteringly fast. Like Rashford, Elanga, these players are going to work on a team that's counter-attacking because they're quick and explosive. Sancho's a player that wants to play in a Man City team or a Liverpool team. He wants to play in a team where You've got 75% possession. You're in the final third. It's pass and probe and move. And Sancho suits that sort of system. And I just think Sancho is going to have the season this year that many of us hoped he was going to have last year. And maybe we should have predicted he was going to have a bad season last year because the system didn't suit him. He's now playing in a team that suits him. It's not about blistering pace on the break. It's about momentum. It's about give and goes. It's about patience. It's about technique. It's about passing patterns. And this is what Sancho's been drilled in at Dortmund for years. So I think Sancho was impressive again, and I think he suits this system like a glove, and I think he's going to be a good player. Alanga, 6, very quiet. I know he did help with the goal, but apart from that, he was very quiet, and there was no pattern down the left-hand side. Delot and Sancho worked well. Alanga and Shaw didn't work well. And Martial gets a 7 from me because playing as a striker, you're totally reliant on service. And for years, we've called playing as striker for United a graveyard shift. Martial, in that first half, was coming deep, laying it off, making runs, holding it up, making runs that he wasn't getting the ball. You know, loads and loads of effort that you've got to do as a striker. And then, right at the end of the half, he got the sitter and he scored. And that's what you want from your striker. You want to provide them with a chance, a reward for all the hard work they do. And he did loads of hard work. He was battling, he was linking up the play, holding up the play, making unselfish runs, and then he ends up with a tap-in. And that is the perfect striker performance, because all that work you do, you're rewarded with a chance, and he took it. So I thought Martial played well again, and, you know, let's hope we can keep that, because we need Martial. Ethan Laird obviously came on in the second half. I'll give him a 6. I thought he did okay. Again, I think he's probably a player we're going to loan out, but I've got to be honest, I'd rather see Ethan Laird play 45 minutes than Wan-Bissaka, because I don't think Wan-Bissaka's got a future at the club. We're trying to sell him. You may as well have a look at someone like Ethan Laird, who, yeah, probably is going to need to go on loan. Delot is going to be the first choice, and we need a better backup than Ethan Laird, to be honest with you. But it's nice to have a look at him. It's nice for Ten Hag to have a look at him, and it's nice for the fans to have a look at him. I thought he did a reasonably good job, and hopefully we can get him a reasonably good loan as well. Malacia, again, probably give him a 6. Again, you know, minutes in the legs. He's still adjusting. He's only been at the club a week. Didn't put a foot wrong. Didn't look out of place. Was no worse than Luke Shaw. So yeah, positives from Malacia again for me, without setting the world on fire. Again, I thought Telles did okay. I'd give him a 6. He's not a centre-back. He did okay. Another player putting himself in the shop window. What more can you say? And then Eric Bailly was the dominant force in the centre-backs again. I'd give him a 7. He did play a few wayward passes, but we didn't concede again. He had a massive part in Rashford's goal. It was an assist. I mean, an assist from a centre-back driving forward. He had a massive part in Palestri's goal the other day. I don't know what more you can expect from Eric Bailly. And again, I think that he deserved to start. And if he'd started, we wouldn't have conceded. But Charlie Savage, look, I've got to give him a 7. I mean, I am giving them a little bit more because they're completely inexperienced. Nobody expects them to do anything. He comes on. He plays against the same Melbourne Victory side that we played in the first half. And he's more composed than Fred. And he's taking the ball off the back four better than Fred. And he's playing passes better than Fred. And I'm not saying he was better than Fred. I mean, it makes it sound like he is. But Fred's a first teamer and a Brazilian international. And Charlie Savage is from the youth setup. And he's playing against the same opposition. And he's putting in a mature performance like that. And I think for the lad, he needs to go and get himself the best loan he can get. Take this pre-season as a huge positive. Take all the praise. Take that confidence. Go into a loan deal next season. And just keep on progressing. I can't say anything more than that. And if he can get a loan to a championship side, you know, I'd be on the phone to Incy, Reading, you know, somewhere like that. That'd be a great move. Or Iqbal. You know, maybe Iqbal stays. But what Charlie Savage can't do is stay at United playing in the under-23s, training with the first team. He's better than that, and he needs to go and get some first-team football. I'm going to give him man of the match. I'm going to give him a 7, but I'm going to give him man of the match. 7.5 is what I would have given, but I can't give a 0.5. I'm not going to go stupid and give him an 8, because he didn't score, didn't get an assist. But again, he's got this fluidity on the ball. He's the more advanced attacking midfielder. Savage is the sitter. He's the more advanced one. He's just very, very smooth on the ball. You know, Zidane by name, Zidane by nature. I mean, that's a big name to live up to. But he has got that poise on the ball, balance on the ball that good players have, and confidence as well, and movement. And he's going to get bigger, of course, but he would be my man of the match. And I don't think Man United played that well, but tell me who deserves man of the match more than him. I think I'm just very impressed with Iqbal and Savage. I'm not overhyping them. I'm not saying they need to start. I think that's silly talk, and we don't need to have that conversation. I think with youth, you take it as it comes, and they were very impressive against Liverpool. They were better today, and Erik ten Hag put it best. He said it a couple of weeks ago. These young players, they need to be able to come into the team and show that they belong, and they need to then show that they can stay and belong in that dressing room. And at the moment, they're showing that they belong. And what their future is, I don't think we need to label it. I don't think we need to start saying he needs to start in the first team. I just think keep giving them minutes. They've taken advantage of the fact that we haven't bought a midfielder and that Garner's injured, and just keep giving them minutes. And I think against Palace on Tuesday, we'll probably play McFred again. So in the second half, Garner and Iqbal, and let's see what they can do. Yeah, very, very pleased with it. Donny, yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good from Donny. I like Donny, but again, Eric Bailly's playing in that team. You can't just say I'm playing in the second half team, so it's hard. Like, Eric Bailly, he should be doing more, Donny. Now, it might just be his fitness levels aren't where they should be, but he's been fitness pre-season longer. I just don't know about Donny at the moment. I want him to succeed. If he can't make it with Ten Hag, he's not going to make it with anyone, but it wasn't, again, very good from Donny. It wasn't smooth. He never looked like he was in his rhythm. He never looked up to pace with the game. I don't know what's wrong with Donny, but I'd like to see him play in a midfield too. I know Ten Hag says he's best as a 10, but Ten Hag hasn't coached or played Donny for 2 years. Donny, I would like to see Donny van der Beek playing the McTominay role. I would like to see McTominay given a rest, and I would like to see Donny given a chance there. But I don't know. I don't know about Donny. There's no guarantee he's going to make it. You've got to earn it. So, we move on. Chong, give him some credit. Probably give him a 6. He was very, very quiet, but he had that run at the end which led to a goal. He's a player that we're going to end up selling, and we might be able to get a little bit of money for him. But I'd give him an average 6. He didn't do anything wrong, and it's a shame with Chong. I think he could have been a really good prospect for United, but I think injury has cost him that. Rashford got a goal, so I would give him a 6.5. He was out of the game a lot. He wasn't really in the game, but he took his goal really well. And I think with Rashford, little steps are going to be important. He said it himself, mistakes don't matter as much in a winning team. And I don't think he made any mistakes today. But I suppose Rashford showed today that if you play him up front, it will work if you hit a long ball for him to run onto, and his finishing was very good. There's so much more that needs to be done with Rashford. I would never doubt Rashford in a one-on-one. I think that's probably bread and butter for him. Sprinting through, no one's going to catch him, and he's always been quite a good finisher when he doesn't think about it. Rashford just needs to work. You know what I liked more about Rashford today? And I'm giving him a 6.5. I'm not giving him a 6 because I can't do 0.5. So I agree with the 6.6. What I liked about Rashford today wasn't the goal. I liked the work rate, and I liked the simplification of the game. We didn't see many 40-yard shots from nowhere. We didn't see many taking on players when it's not on. We saw simplification, and we saw it from Bruno as well. So I liked that. Let's see if we can keep building on that. Ahmad, 6. Let's give him a loan. And, to me, Ahmad just doesn't look anywhere near ready to be playing for Man United, so we need to give him a loan. And Erik ten Hag today, I would give him a lovely 7. Yeah, I'd give him a lovely 7. I thought possession was good. Chance creation was good. Pass accuracy was good. Shape of the team was good. The only thing he got wrong, in my opinion, was he should have played Bailly next to Lindelof or Maguire, and we wouldn't have conceded that goal. But I even think that was good because he'll learn a lesson that you can't play those two in that system because they're too slow. So still loads of work to do, but progression in the way that we play was clear. I don't think under Solskjaer we would have had 75% possession. I don't think under Solskjaer we would have played a line that high. I don't think we would have pressed as well. I don't think we would have created that many chances. So, the style of football is still murky because we're still using the players that we really shouldn't be using. But there is improvement in the way that we're playing, and that's all we want at the end of the day. So let's see who your man of the match was, and I got it right. 42% of you. There you go. Stand up, that guy. Smash a like on the video for young Zidane Iqbal. He is your man of the match. He's my man of the match. Second place was Jadon Sancho with 31%. So it was between those two, but I think he deserves it. And I think sometimes when you're a young player, you are treated differently to an older player because the expectation isn't there, and then when you perform well, you deserve the praise. Just a little bit off topic here. There's no Martinez or Timber in the Ajax squad for their match today. Would like to see Garnacho play over Elanga today, says Clark. Yeah, a bit disappointed that we haven't seen Garnacho or Mabry, but I don't know why. Please, can we start playing Bay, says Yoshi. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, all in all, pre-season doesn't matter massively. Whether we win 4-1 or 10-1, it doesn't matter. I thought Melbourne victory gave us a good game. I still think we're massively missing out on not having these signings in. There's still big holes in that team. I can see the progression, but it's almost progression with one eye over, I can't really see what's going on this side. I can see this side. I want to see the full picture, and I can only see the full picture when he starts getting the players in he wants. And if I go back to what we said here, there were some updates from James Ducker. So Man United are prepared to play the long game on Frenkie de Jong, even if he doesn't join when the league season starts. I think that's a bad attitude to have. I don't think a new manager should be starting the season without his star player. That long game is a massive risk, and I don't think we're in a position to be taking those sort of risks. We need to get this deal done quickly, and I still believe that the next 24 hours for Frenkie de Jong is huge, because if he doesn't get on that plane to go on tour, he's got to move. So let's calm ourselves on that and just see what happens in the next 24 hours. Lisandro Martinez won't join the squad for the end of the tour is massively disappointing. When our final game isn't a week until tomorrow, why can't we get him on a medical today and get him on a plane tomorrow and he could train for a week? It is worth it, but maybe there's troubles with visas, I don't know. I think on Martinez it's disappointing because it just comes down to how slow we have been on transfers. This is a signing we should have had done a week ago, in which case he'd be on the tour. Where's Eriksen? He should be on the tour. The De Jong deal's frustrating. Where's the second midfielder? Where's the winger? There's nothing to do with Ten Hag, but there's so many delays in the transfers that are unacceptable. And that falls on Mertens' shoulders, on Arnold's shoulders. This has not been a good transfer window. We may end up getting the players we want, but it shouldn't have taken this long. It really shouldn't. And it's disappointing because I think that whilst this pre-season is good, in many ways it's flawed because we don't have the players that we should have, and you can see that in every game. Telegraph Ducker also saying if the current issues with De Jong and Barcelona's salary issues prove unsurmountable, Man United are likely to pursue other players. Well, when are we going to decide that? When are we going to decide that De Jong is a waste of time? It's 3 weeks on Sunday for our first Premier League game. It's not like we're going to not go for De Jong and then sign Tielemans tomorrow. It could be another 4 or 5 weeks negotiating for him. We've got to get De Jong. We can't walk away from this deal. Simple as that. But also, on a positive, also from James Ducker, Man United sources say they wouldn't have gone this far down the line if they don't believe Frenkie de Jong would be prepared to join, contrary to reports in Spain, which I think is absolutely true. On Ronaldo, just a very quick one from Romano. Ronaldo's turned down the MLS and Saudi club. Erik Ten Hag is waiting for him. Look, let's hope we can get him to stay. Let's really hope that we can. But look, thank you everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. And I will be back at 8 o'clock. There's no 2 o'clock show today. I know we normally do a 2 o'clock show, but there won't be a 2 o'clock show today, obviously, because I've been live since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm going to get some lunch. Unless there's any transfer news that breaks, which will go live. I am planning on playing a bit of FIFA at 3 o'clock, so you can join me for that. And I hope you'll have a good day. We will have an 8 o'clock show tonight as well. Thanks everyone who's been tuning in. Really enjoyed the chat and the pre-season. There's positives, there's hope, and there's needs, and there's signings. And that's what we need at the moment. Thanks for watching. Take care. And apparently Frenkie de Jong is in the Barca Tour squad, which is a massive blow for United. So I might be going live again in a little bit. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.